Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden communication network that powers pretty much every piece of modern software you use. You know, from ordering food to hailing a ride. We're going to map out the invisible nervous system that allows all these separate software parts to act like a single coordinated organism.
At its heart, everything we're talking about today really boils down to this very simple, very human idea. It's just about sharing information to get on the same page. And it turns out this isn't just the key to how people collaborate, it's the fundamental principle that makes all of our complex modern software actually work.
So to really get why this kind of communication is so critical right now, we have to talk about this massive strategic shift in how we build software. We've literally gone from building these enormous giants to building small, specialized teams. Our source material calls this the great fragmentation of logic.
And this slide just perfectly contrasts the old world with the new. See, on one hand, you've got the monolith giant. This is one massive application where all the logic, everything, is in one place. It's powerful, for sure, but it has this huge weakness, a single point of failure. If one little part gets sick, the whole giant grinds to a halt. But on the other hand, you have the modern approach, a specialized team of what we call microservices. Here, the logic is spread out across all these independent processes. Now, this gives you a ton of flexibility, but it introduces a brand new weakness. You're now completely dependent on the network so they can all talk to each other.
And this analogy just brilliantly illustrates the core change here, this fragmentation of logic. It means that instead of having all our experts in one single operating room, we now have these elite, specialized surgeons who are absolute masters of their craft, but they're working in completely different buildings. You know, one knows everything about the heart, another knows everything about the brain. They are incredibly good at their one job, but they're physically separated from each other.
So this fragmentation, it creates a really core challenge. I mean, having a team of world-class specialists is great, but they can't just work in a vacuum. To actually be effective, they absolutely have to talk to each other.
And here's exactly why. The guiding principle of this whole new world is something called single entity focus. What it means is that each service, each one of our specialized surgeons, is programmed to care about one and only one thing. So one service manages the customer. Another one only manages the product, and a third only cares about the account. They have this incredibly powerful but also extremely narrow view of the world.
And this specialization, it has real physical consequences. It's not just an idea. Each service runs as a totally separate process. A lot of the time, it's on a completely different machine, separated by the physical network. So without some way to bridge that gap, our elite specialists don't really form a team at all. They just become these isolated silos, completely blind to what their peers are doing.
Which, brings us to the central question of this entire explainer. What happens when a simple business task, something you do every single day, like ordering a pizza online, requires all these isolated, specialized services to work together perfectly?
Well, the answer is a technology that acts as the connective tissue for all of them. And this is where we introduce the hero of our story. It's called inter-process communication, or just IPC. This is the nervous system we've been talking about.
You can think of IPC as the constant radio chatter going on between our specialized surgeons. It's that invisible nervous system that takes this distributed body of software and lets it act like a single coherent organism. It's what transforms a collection of isolated parts into a unified whole that can actually get a mission accomplished.
And look, this radio chatter, it isn't just random noise, not at all. It's a series of deliberate, cause and effect actions. Our source material calls them collaborative triggers. And honestly, the best way to think about them is like a line of falling dominoes. The output of one service's action becomes the catalyst, the push for the very next step in the chain.
Okay, let's make this real. Let's look at an e-commerce checkout. You click Submit Order. That's the first domino. It falls, and it hits the order service. The order service then immediately triggers the payment service. That's the second domino. And once your payment is confirmed, that domino falls, and it triggers both the warehouse service to start picking your item and the email service to send you a receipt. It's a perfect chain reaction. And we see the exact same pattern, the same dance in a ride-sharing app. You request a vehicle, boom, the booking service is triggered. It then notifies the dispatch service to go find nearby drivers. The moment a driver accepts, that triggers the location service, which starts streaming coordinates to both of your phones. See? It's another seamless dance of falling dominoes.
So this domino effect, it's everywhere. In e-commerce, it's order to payment to warehouse. In ride-sharing, it's requests to dispatch to location.
And the same pattern holds true in banking, too. A large transaction might trigger a fraud detection service, which in turn might trigger an identity service for verification. These collaborative triggers, they are the absolute foundation of modern business logic. All right, this brings us to our final and honestly our most important section. We need to elevate this whole conversation because IPC, it isn't just some technical task for developers to worry about. It's a business imperative. It is truly a dialogue for survival. So what's the big takeaway here? The so what? Why does any of this matter to the business? It's because value isn't created inside any single one of these specialized services. The real value is created in the empty spaces between them. When those communication links are weak or they're just not there, the whole enterprise suffers. You get operational friction, unhappy customers, and real, tangible loss of revenue.
Let's be perfectly clear about this. In the modern world of distributed software, inter-process communication, it isn't a nice-to-have technical feature, it is a fundamental survival requirement, period.
Because without it, you don't actually have an elite team. What you have is a collection of brilliant surgeons all sitting alone in their separate buildings, totally unable to collaborate to save the patient. They become disconnected experts, working in the dark, completely blind to what their peers are doing. And when that happens, the entire system fails.
So, the final question I want to leave you with is this. Your services are specialists, for sure, but are they truly a team? Are they actually communicating effectively? Next time on The Explainer, we're going to take the next logical step and master the specific language they use to talk to each other, what we're calling their dictionary of dialogue. We'll see you then.